Have you ever noticed that the person who is super meticulous about recycling at home is the same person who leaves the hotel air conditioning on full blast all day? It's a funny thing, right? Well, today we're going to dive into the science of why our best green habits seem to take a vacation right along with us.
And this is a really big deal, because according to recent studies, the tourism industry is responsible for a whopping 8% of total global greenhouse gas emissions. So figuring out our vacation psychology isn't just a curiosity, it's absolutely critical.
And this is really the core question, isn't it? What is going on in our heads when we flip that switch from home mode to holiday mode? Why does our commitment to the planet sometimes get, well, left behind at the departure gate? So, to find the answers, we're going straight to the source. We're going to unpack a really fascinating academic study that maps out everything researchers know about what they call Pro-Environmental Behaviour, or PEB, when it comes to tourism. Now, the researchers used this really powerful technique called bibliometric analysis. The best way to think about it is like academic forensics. They sifted through thousands of different studies to map out the entire field, from the big foundational ideas to the most exciting new discoveries. And they did this in 3 really clever steps. First, they looked at the past to figure out the foundational ideas that everyone's work is built on. Then, they analyzed the present by tracking how the hot topics have shifted over the years. And finally, they looked to the future by identifying the really cutting-edge trends that are just emerging right now.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with that core dilemma, then we'll map out the foundational research. After that, we'll see how the conversation has evolved, look at the future of green travel, and finally, we'll bring it all back to what it means for you.
Okay, let's jump right in with the central problem that researchers noticed pretty much immediately. It's a concept they call the attitude-behavior gap. The attitude-behavior gap is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's that space between our good intentions and what we actually do. It's saying you care about saving water, but then asking for fresh towels every single day of your trip. We've all seen it. So why does this gap seem to get so much wider when we're on vacation? Well, the research points to 3 big reasons. First, changing the high-impact stuff like flights is just hard. Second, we have this really powerful subconscious belief in a right to a holiday. It's like a psychological get-out-of-jail-free card for our responsibilities. And third, we justify it all by thinking, come on, what difference can my one little trip really make? Okay, so with that gap firmly in mind, let's look at the core ideas that this whole field of research is built on. Using that co-citation analysis we talked about, the researchers basically uncovered 4 main pillars that support everything else. Here are the big 4. First up, normative drivers. That's basically all the social pressures and personal values that make us feel like we should do the right thing. Next is place attachment, a simple but powerful idea. We protect the places we fall in love with. Third, the attitude-behavior gap that we just covered. And finally, tourist segmentation, which is just a fancy way of saying, hey, not all travelers are the same. Some are really green, and others not so much. So, those are the foundations. But science, of course, never stands still. By analyzing keywords over time, the study revealed this really fascinating evolution in what researchers are paying attention to. In the early days, the conversation was pretty niche, focused on things like ecotourism and protected areas. Then it started to broaden out to bigger issues like climate change. But look where we are now. Today, the cutting-edge research is all about psychology. It's about understanding the social norms and the decision-making of every single traveler. And that's a huge shift because it tells us the problem isn't just about a lack of eco-resorts. It's about misunderstanding the human mind on vacation. And that shift leads us to the most exciting part, the future. Where is all this research headed? And more importantly, what does it tell us about what might actually work? Okay, this is a massive insight. When we're on vacation, we are in what scientists call a pleasure-seeking context. And what the study found is that in that mindset, guilt trips and appealing to our sense of duty, they just don't work very well. Our brains simply aren't wired for sacrifice when we're trying to kick back and relax. So this is the big pivot. The whole game is changing. Instead of telling people what they should do, the emerging approach is to ask, how can we make the green choice the easy choice, the fun choice, or even better, the automatic default choice you don't even have to think about? And that leads us to these 3 incredible new frontiers. First, choice architecture. That's designing things so the sustainable option is the default, like automatically opting you into a carbon offset for your flight. Second, hedonic framing, which is all about making green actions feel good, not like a chore. Imagine an app that turns saving water in your hotel into a fun game where you earn rewards.
And finally, measuring reality. Moving beyond just asking people what they plan to do and actually tracking what they really do.
Whew. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, from the core problem all the way to the future of this research. So let's just boil this all down to the key takeaways for you and me.
So what's the bottom line? First, that attitude-behavior gap is very real, especially when we're on holiday. We kind of give ourselves a psychological hall pass. Second, when we really connect with a place, we're way more likely to protect it. Third, the science is now laser-focused on the psychology of all of us, not just ecotourists. And maybe the most hopeful takeaway is this. The future isn't about more guilt trips. It's about smart design that makes being green feel effortless, easy, and maybe even a little fun.
And that really leaves us with one final thought to take with you. Imagine your next trip. What if you didn't have to try to be sustainable? What if the greenest option was just the default, and you had to actively choose to be less eco-friendly? How would that one little shift change not just your vacation, but maybe the entire travel industry?